Welcome to the Online Success Journey Podcast, your opportunity to discover and learn from entrepreneurs like yourself. This is not your typical podcast, but a place where you can get the real story and find out how real people encounter speed bumps and detours, but journey through to find success. Now here's your host for the Online Success Journey Podcast, Patience.
Hello everyone and welcome to Online Success Journey. This is episode 106. Are you ready to join the clan? Today we have Terry Ogburn, renowned owner and the lead business coach of Ogburn's Business Solutions. Terry's true passion is helping independent entrepreneurs and small business owners plan, launch, and develop their businesses. Hello, Terry.
Hey, Patience, and good afternoon.
Hello. Thank you for coming here.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Okay. I know the clan is anxious to hear your story, so let's get started with the basics. Can you tell my clan a little bit about your background, about what you did before you started your own business?
Okay, sure. I'd be glad to. The first business I started was in 1979. It was an air conditioning company. But prior to that, I sold cars. I worked in the air conditioning field as a technician. Then I got an idea to start my own air conditioning business, and that's where it all started. That's how I got to learn all that it took to be in business, because I was a typical technician, thinking that I could do it better than the bosses, so to speak. And so I learned quite a bit, ramping it up. I ran my air conditioning business for 10 years. Then I sold it to my employees and then received residual income from that for years to come. I went into franchising and helping small businesses, and it happened to be through the franchise market. And then I spent 25 years helping turn around stores like Metro Call Paging, AT&T Wireless had bought into them, Radio Shack, took a company public, was one of the 5 chosen people that came into a little 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo in Miami. We put together this whole business, and it went public in 2.5 years. And then 2005, I started my consulting business, and I've been doing that now for 11.5 years.
Wow, what a journey. Why do you do what you do, Terry?
I am a little different than most consultants or coaches. I work on the bottom line of companies. My thought was, if I contribute to their bottom line, help them develop their infrastructure and get them sales moving and getting them profitable, that I would be helping that person a lot better. The clients that I do have been with me for 6, 7 years. I've got one that's been with me for 3 years. Not that I have I don't believe in, having a lot of clients. I just have about 6, and they've all been with me for 3 years or longer.
Okay, let's put man aside, because you've been in a business for a long time. You did your air conditioning, from there moved on to franchise, and just recently you went to consulting in 2005. When did you know that you were successful in this new business?
Well, I think I knew I was successful when I was in the corporate world, in knowing that I could do this business, because that's all I really did in corporate America, was help business, turn them around, fix them, go in and put systems and processes in place. So I never looked at it that I wouldn't be successful in helping people. My only concern in the beginning was, where would I get my clients? I did that really through networking, going around to different networking meetings and getting to meet people, and branding myself as a business development leader, guru in the industry of small business.
Okay, so now you've been in all the markets of business. Can anyone be an entrepreneur, or are some people more cut out for it than others?
I say that 80% of the businesses that start their business typically will fail in the first 3 to 5 years. And the reason for that is because they think because they're a good technician, they're going to make a good business owner. And there's a lot more to business than just being able to put sales on the board. Another thing that I find that's tough for people is they think just because they're making sales or they have cash flow that they're actually making a profit, which most of the time is not there either. However, if you learn to build your business from the top down, you have a better than a 90% chance of success. And that's a different concept for most people. They want to build it from the ground up. And my philosophy is go get all the wherewithal you need. If you need a CEO, go hire a CEO. If you need a marketing guru, then go get a marketing guru to get the money up front that you need to run your business successfully. This bootstrapping or bootstrapping it up, make a little money, invest a little money. That's not the way the big business guys do it. They secure the money they need to grow their business. They know that they're not going to be profitable in the first 3 years. So they just make sure they have all their money up front. And I can help people get funding because there's money's out there. You just know how to go and get it, know where to go get it.
Okay. What is your top tips for writing a comprehensive business funding plan?
Well, most people that write a business plan typically stick to the sales and marketing aspect, meaning they throw figures on a paper and so forth and so on. But that's not what investors are looking for. When you write a business plan that passes the scrutiny of the Federal Trade Commission, that plan must have a less than a 2% failure rate because nobody's going to buy a franchise that has a failure rate of more than 2%. So the plans that I teach the business owners how to write are those that would pass the scrutiny of the Federal Trade Commission. It doesn't mean you have to franchise your business, but it does mean that you have a better than a 2% chance of success. I also wrote a business plan for a guy coming from the United Kingdom into the United States on an EB-5 visa. I'm sure you're familiar with those. But for the listeners, it's where a foreign national would be coming into our country and must, in order to get a green card, he must invest $500,000 into a failing business and be able to employ 10 people within United States people, not his family, within a 2-year period. I wrote the business plan for him so that it would pass the scrutiny of Homeland Security. I didn't find out until after the plan was written and it was accepted by Homeland Security that put me in the elite 5% of people who could write business plans and expect results from them.
That's interesting.
I've gotten money as little as $3.2 million all the way up to $8.5 million for businesses.
What type of businesses are we talking about? Is it any business or is it like special categories?
No, as long as the product and service can be sold, then the business should be able to be viable. My air conditioning company, for an example, when I started it was in March of 1979, which in Florida, you would have thought by 1979 that the market would have been captured by a few air conditioning companies and, had a lock on the market. I should have never been able to break into the marketplace. However, my rule is if you want to pick a business that's having an arena that's having trouble and jump right in the middle of it because you'll make tons of money. So that's what I did. But I did it the wrong way, patience. I bootstrapped it up and kept doing it that way. And what happened was I had some very expensive lessons and downfalls. There was one time when I was faced with, I had about 6 people that worked for me at that time, including myself, and I had enough money to make the phone bill or enough money to make payroll. So I brought all the people in and I said, okay, here's the money we have. It's your money. Do you want me to pay the phone bill or do you want to get paid? And we were able to work out a win-win solution for all of us. We kept the phone on and we had money coming in next week, so it was no big deal. But if I had the capital up front, I wouldn't have been faced with that problem. So it's those type of things that we need to look at when we're building our business. Are we going to bootstrap it up, or are we going to secure all the things that we need to make sure that we can be successful pretty much out of the gate?
Why is it important to focus the future, the financial future of your business?
Well, it gives you a better planning stage, meaning that if I know that my revenues are going to be projected, which is called a pro forma, and you project your revenue based on your income streams, then that gives your marketing department a clear picture of the vision that they need to carry out. You take into account for your expenses and the things that you're going to be, and you project those expenses out forward. Then you can make sure that you're pricing your products with a profit in mind. Most people, they get to the end of the year and then they have to pay their taxes. So the idea is for you to get your taxes paid by the consumer. So any income taxes or any taxes that need to be paid, they're added into the price of your goods and services. That way, when after you have your net income, which is after you pay your variable cost and your fixed expenses, then you have money left over. It's called net profit. Then the net profit is what you pay your tax on. So you calculate in your 26, 30, 40%, whatever it might be. You calculate that in, and you're supposed to come away now with 10%. Every good business strives for 10% after taxes of revenue. Now, most of my clients will get upwards of 16, 18, 19, even some as high as 20%, because once we know what our goods and services cost, we can price our prices based on value-added propositions to the point to where we can, I was the highest priced air conditioning company in the marketplace. And people said, well, he passes his discounts on to people. That's why he gets all the business. And one of the guys said, no, Terry just charges more. And how he does that is because, for an example, I put a year guarantee on my work, parts and labor. Now, nobody in this industry would ever put a year parts and labor guarantee on their work.
That was unique. Okay. How does a business owner know if they should expand into multiple locations or franchise? When is it the time?
It's an interesting question. I'm working with a pizza company now in Iowa, and we're now moving him out past the second store. Then once he saw how we could open the second store and have it successfully profitable in less than 18 months because of the systems and processes that I put in place, okay, we're ready to open his third location in the middle of next year. We're putting all the groundwork down. Now, not all businesses are good for franchising, but that doesn't mean that they can't have a lease agreement. It doesn't mean they can have licensing agreements. There's all kinds of ways to expand. Now, in franchising, we would never get somebody to expand more than a 30 to 45 minute drive from where their location is. Most people think, oh, well, let me open up in the next city over or the next county over. Well, if you can't get to that business within 30 to 45 minutes, the further you are away, the less likely this business is going to be successful. So you want to keep it tight. And in franchising, we would never want a business to be outside of our second location, be more than a half a mile to a mile away from our original location. Then you have to get into your demographics. Like, for an example, McDonald's, one of the great franchises, they specifically locate their restaurants in neighborhoods that have children. Why? Because the McDonald's restaurant is not in the hamburger business, it's in the kids business. So your demographics become a big concern here. I was looking at this opportunity a few months ago, and the guy him and his wife, they had this great opportunity to put a bicycle repair shop and a coffee, like a Starbucks concept, between two apartment buildings. And the guy that had the apartment buildings was wanting this little dynamic to be set up there. But when you did the demographics, when you looked at it, they were in an industrial area, and there was nobody that was going to be bringing their bikes into that area. And the two apartments buildings, the total was 32 dwellings. And that means if everybody had a bicycle, that you would have 32 customers. So when you're looking at, where are you going to pull your people from? And if there's more than a 5-mile radius, most people are not going to travel more than 5 miles to get to where they want to be, to work, to be a part, pay patrons or whatever. So you really have to understand not only the business that you're in, but you also have to understand the market. Now, online, that's a little different. If you got an online store, then, Amazon can pull from anywhere.
Okay. How long is this going to take you, like if you wanted to expand? Should someone who's listening on this call be waiting for like a year or two? How long does it take?
That just depends on the infrastructure and the capital. You can expand. Like my guy in Iowa, he had been in the business less than 2 years, generating over $1 million a year in revenue, and he had the wherewithal to expand. We expanded the franchise that we built from the ground up. We started with nothing, and 2.5 years later, we had 2,000 franchises in 11 regional offices, and we went public. But we borrowed $5 million in order to make that happen. But we sold it for $13 million. And when the IPO went out, it came back at over $13 million. Not a bad investment and not a bad return. Your 2.5 years, $8 million, right?
Wow, it's very impressive. Okay, you've been in a business. What is one thing that has contributed to your success so far?
Education. If we spend 1 hour a day focusing on our field, the field that we want to be in, we can become an expert in 5 years or less. Now, if you devote 2 hours a day, it won't take you 2.5. It'll probably take you closer to 2 years to be an expert in your field. And the idea that we should all be in is that whatever field we get in, we want to be the very, very best. Now, for an example, I'm sure you've heard of Disney World and the Walt Disney Organization, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, they do not see another theme park as their competition. Their competition is somebody like Nordstrom's or LL Bean. Now, in the United States, those are considered to be the two best customer service oriented companies that are out there.
Okay.
So they don't think of a theme park as somebody that competes against them. How their guest is treated inside the park is how they want to be noted for.
Okay. When you say we should spend 1 hour a day focusing on our business, do you mean we should go out and start reading? Should we go out and start looking for mentors, coaches? How are we going to manage this 1 hour a day?
Well, coincidentally, I have a gift for your listeners at the end, and it's my time management program, and it's offered free. They get to spend 1 hour with me, but the first thing we have to do, patients, is we have to get a hold of our time. We have to understand how to manage our time. We're not going to be very good at time management. That's a given. But we can get very good at managing our time. And that's how you find out where your time wasters are. You find out where you can devote an hour. You start devoting an hour to reading. If you read an hour a day, that'll give you a book a week. If you do a book a week, that's 50 books through in a year's time. Now, the interesting thing about self-motivation and this type of stuff, these books that keep you going, those are good. But the thing we also have to understand is that we need to implement chapter 1 before we go to chapter 2. And before we go to chapter 3, we should be sure that we're doing chapters 1 and 2. Now, everybody's heard of the book Think and Grow Rich, and it's a cornerstone of most successful businesses. I don't care if you're from the small guy all the way up to the Fortune 500 companies. Think and Grow Rich will be the cornerstone for these most successful businesses. Chick-fil-A, NASCAR, you name them. They all use this book, even though it was written in 1937. But in that book, it tells everyone that there's a secret. And if they uncover the secret, once they apply the secret, they'll be successful in anything they do. And more people that I talk to, they read the book, but they don't get to the secret. They don't get what Andrew Carnegie gave Napoleon Hill. he gave him the secret. And the secret is, I'll give it to all your listeners. The secret is your subconscious. And once we understand how to use our subconscious, we get things done a lot easier and a lot faster.
Because I was going to ask you, I have a book here, but I haven't found the secret. Maybe I'm reading it there upside down.
No, if you have Think and Grow Rich, and you, I don't mean to say if, I'm sure you do.
I do.
But in the first chapter, it says there's a secret located in the book. It's mentioned over 100 times, and when it's ready, it will unveil itself. Well, patience, it took me I had to read it 4 times before I figured out what the secret was, and it was laying right there in front of me all the time. But if you've read the book, then you've heard him say over and over and over and over about the subconscious.
Okay.
We dismiss that. We dismiss that because we as individuals, we don't understand the subconscious and how it works. So that's the thing I would get everybody. That's the cornerstone of my program, and what I teach people is how to use Think and Grow Rich effectively to build their businesses. That's the corner. If you see, in my bio there's 4 books that I use, and Think and Grow Rich is one of them.
Okay, I'm going to start now reading it properly again and try to find the secret. Okay.
I just gave you the secret. The secret is your subconscious. You don't have to look for it anymore. It's your subconscious.
Yes, I need to make sure it is going to be in there, grinded in there every day.
Well, let me ask you this question. Have you ever, I'm sure you drive, right?
I don't drive. I don't have a car.
Oh, okay. One of my things is that then this will work. How about have you ever walked into a room and recognized somebody and you didn't remember their name?
Yes.
Okay. And you said to yourself, who is that? I know them. Who is that? And then you went about your business. Mm-hmm. You did whatever it was. You took care of business. You took care of whatever it was. And then about 3 days later, the name came to you, right? It just downloaded. All of a sudden, oh, that was Sally. Okay. Well, that's because you gave the problem to your subconscious, and it started looking for the answer that's stored in your subconscious or in your brain cells. That's how easy it works. You give your brain a problem and let it go to work, and you just go about your business. And before you know it, the sign will come, the avenue will come, the gut feeling will say, go this way or that way, whatever.
Then how comes there are so many people who are really having this nice knowledge, or people who are able to help others, but they don't do it? So what is stopping them?
Because we get to a point to where we try too hard. Meaning, have you ever gotten a row of figures and you just kept adding these row of figures up, and you just keep getting the wrong answer? You never get the right answer, and then you go away from it. You give your brain a chance to break. You come back and you spot the problem right away. Okay. Well, whenever we're trying too hard, patience, is when we're more likely to make mistakes. See, life is supposed to be easy. We're not supposed to have to try. If you read the book Deepak Chopra's The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, there is a spiritual law that says it's supposed to be easy.
So when you say easy, how comes no one is doing it? That's what would be the answer. They'll be like, how comes everyone is struggling? So now you're telling us we are working so hard, so we should relax.
Exactly. Follow the simple laws of nature. And I tell people that work with me all the time, if you get into a situation and it's difficult, I didn't invent it. I'm totally about simple. In fact, my dad is 97, and if you was to ask him today, you say, they call him Sarge. Sarge, what does Terry think about work? And he's going to say, oh, he's not afraid of it at all. He'll lay down right beside it and go to sleep.
Wow. But then you have been able to really accumulate all this success. Okay, along your success, did you ever have a mentor, or coach to help you around?
I recommend everybody should have at least one, if not 2, and maybe sometimes 3. Tiger Woods, in his best days, he had 3 different coaches. I recommend that. I had tremendous mentors growing in business. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for people like Dick Bettini. This man was living in New York, family of 5. He wanted to move away from the snow and all that. He discovered that the Tampa Bay area didn't have a 4-color printer machine. He bought a machine, came here, opened up a business, and became very successful. So he taught me a lot. Jim Baggins, the founder of Century 21 of Florida, he's hired me. He's hired me 3 times in my corporate career. Every time he would get a job, he'd say, "Okay, I'll come on board, but you got to bring Terry on as well." And he would take me with him. Jeff Foxworthy's father was my very first mentor. He was the president of IBM, and he pulled me under his wing and helped me get my air conditioning business started. So I recommend people. Another thing is to find somebody, even if you don't know them, and emulate them. There are tons of great people out there. Mary Kay Ash is a great one for ladies. Here's a lady that grew up in a man's world and wanted to start a cosmetic company, and everybody was against her. Everybody said it would not work, and she persevered. And she's now, even though she's passed away and moved on, her business still grows and grows each year. She's a phenomenal woman.
Okay. What is the most valuable thing your mentors or your coaches has told you?
The best, I guess, is to become a Socratic thinker and use the Socratic method. Very few people know this method. And see, if I can get you, patients, to think of it, you own it from then on. So you don't solve, like I was with a client last week, and he was talking about he wants to expand, he wants to move his business. And I said, okay, well, before you make your decision to move, think about all the people that this move is going to have an effect on. That means when we do something in our business, when we get ready to make a change in our business, the very first thing we should do is think about all the different people it's going to affect. And the analogy I use is like taking a rock and we throw it into the lake, and we know that the ripples change, the rock's going to change the lake surface. But we never think about how when that rock falls to the bottom, that it may land on some creature that's walking along minding his own business. So we don't think it all the way through. So when you make a change, is it going to affect marketing? Is it going to affect bookkeeping? Is it going to affect customer service? How will it affect? Put your safety protocols in place, put your word tracks in place, have everything geared, ready to take on the customer service problems from the new launch of a product. Because most of the time, new launches, they come with bugs, or they come with little things they have to fix. Well, think about those things. Like when we did our franchise agreement, we wrote it. Then we took it and gave it to the defense attorney so he could find where we were weak. He found the weak spots in our franchise agreement. We sent it back to the writer of the franchise agreement, had him fix the holes. Then we launched. So we had ourselves protected, so that we didn't get sued or didn't get in any trouble.
Okay. Tell us more about your time management. Is this the course? And you said previously you spent 1 hour. So what can I expect from this 1 hour?
What you can expect is a fully engaged hour with me. We're on GoToMeeting, so we share cameras. In fact, I would invite you to take me up on the offer as well. We're gonna go through the different stages of time management and how we got to 4th generation time management. We're going to go through how to change your limited beliefs, because people have this belief system that they can't manage their time. We're going to go through an assessment to see how much time that you says you've wasted, and I'll be able to take you through several questions that will get us to that level. Then you're going to understand how important it is to learn how to plan your day and your week. We shouldn't try to plan any more than a week out, but we'll get to a point to where you can plan your whole week out, and this helps you stay in focus. You'll learn how to close your day and be able to assess what you did right, what you did wrong, what could you have done better, and then lay out your day for the next day the night before, and then you will accompany that with minutes so you know that if you have 6 hours worth of work on your to-do list, then you should be able to complete that. What we have a tendency to do is put 10 hours worth of work on an 8-hour day, and then we get overwhelmed, and then we keep moving things from one checklist to another. And then I'll conclude that by being able to tie this whole system that I've put together into the 6 human needs that we all need as humans, and how this program satisfies all of those needs.
Okay, so where do we find this program, or how can we get in contact with you?
It's very simple. Just simply email me at wtogburn@aol.com. Just send me an email straight up, and then I will get back with you. We'll set a time that's convenient for both of us, and we'll go from there. About an hour, and it'll be an hour well spent.
And if someone is going to take up on this course, how long does it take? Is it like a continual course? Is it period? How long does it take?
It's just 1 hour. Now you'll, you have to put the things in practice, that you'll leave with. You'll leave with a complete product. You'll leave with everything that you need to be able to run and start to work on your time management. And just to give you an example with time management, when I went into the air conditioning business, one of the problems I faced was the difference between the wants and needs. The customer needed their air conditioner fixed. What they wanted me to do was fix it on their time schedule. So I'd go to the technicians and I said, okay, guys, how do we make that work? They said, we can't, because we don't know how long we're going to be on the job. We could be on the job an hour. We could be on the job 5 hours. We just never know. And that was insane to me, patience. That just didn't set well with me. So what I did is I got two-way radios for all my trucks, and I put the dispatcher in charge of the jobs instead of the technicians. I took the power away from the technicians, so the technicians actually had to get permission to work on the unit. Now, they could be dispatched to the unit or to the customer's house, but before they could actually perform the work, they would actually, they'd have to get permission. Okay. So if we were at your house and we needed to, let's say, do a fan motor change, and it was going to take, and you would say, how long is that going to take? We'd say, it's about 2.5 hours. And they say, and then you say, when would you like it done? Well, can you guys come back at 4 o'clock this afternoon? I need to go to work and I can come back. Then we just schedule it on your time, and that way it made you feel less anxious. So I've been battling time management since 1979, 1980. In 11 years that I've had my business, 11 and a half years, coaching people weekly on regular set coaching calls every week. I'll ask you the question, how many times in that 11 and a half years, that's 52 weeks in a year, how many times do you think that I've started a week and had that week end on time? Everybody in their spot.
Because you've been in the business for a long time, you started a long time, you mastered the art of work now. I think you had them all done. Okay, if they are like 10, maybe you had 8 done.
There's not been 1 week in 11 and a half years that every appointment has been on time, in place, in exactly the time I wanted it. I have never, in 11 and a half years, like Monday, the first call was perfect. The second call, sorry, my son had surgery. I need to reschedule for tomorrow. So boom, second call, already messed up my week.
Oh.
But it's not. I've learned how to adapt to that because I have slots that they can fit in. So I have alternate slots that I can move them to, so it doesn't affect my schedule. But I've never had a week yet go by where everybody was in their proper place at their proper time. So I've been battling time management and practicing time management. I would say at least since 1994, my system, the one that I will teach you, and anybody that would like it. I've been practicing this since 1994.
Ooh, wow. It's going to take me so long, because if you've been practicing it for that long, and then I don't know, I'm already scared that I might not even get it in 1 hour.
Well, I will tell you, Patience, I will still be practicing it 10 years from now, because you can't get it. You can't get time management perfect, because you can't rely on other people. But what you can do is you can get as many hours, productive hours, that you want in your schedule. You can do that. Everybody can do that.
Ooh, now I have a relief.
Yeah. You can get your work done. It's just the fact that we can't control, circumstances. We just can't do it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Clan, there will be more from Terry in a moment. If you are finding Terry's journey interesting and you are ready to hear more, come and listen to the full version of the interview at onlinesuccessjourney.com. If you are on Online Success Journey already, click on part 2 of Terry's journey and you'll get lots more great tips to help you with your time management. And don't forget, you can access all other Online Success Journey interview podcasts on the site as well. That's a wrap, Clan. Remember, success is a journey. Patience and Terry.
This is not the end of the journey. We hope you've enjoyed listening to part 1 and want to be sure you know there is a second part to this and every journey podcast at onlinesuccessjourney.com, filled with even more success tips, uplifting stories, and even a bit of fun. There are dozens of episodes only available to the members of the Online Success Journey clan. Check out the website and click on Join the Clan for more information. Patience would like to thank you for listening to this podcast, and she has a free audio gift for you at her website. Go to onlinesuccessjourney.com for instant access to this gift. Of course, you know that listening to the journeys of others helps each of us chart our own path. So make sure you're subscribed to be notified as each new interview is posted. There are so many ways to stay connected to the Online Success Journey and to listen in. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we appreciate your help in telling others. One of the best ways to share the benefit you get is to rate and review it at Stitcher and other sites by clicking the stars or completing the ratings form, by clicking the thumbs up and leaving a comment on YouTube, or liking and sharing the podcast on social media. To review the podcast within iTunes, simply open iTunes to the podcast, click on Ratings and Reviews, then write a review. On behalf of Patience, and until next time, thanks once more for listening. It is our hope that this podcast will guide you on your own online success journey.